what I call Mexican chicken and Mexican beef. You can use it in a burrito bowl, or you can use it as filling in a burrito. So let's go ahead and put this together, and then we can talk a little bit more about how it's served, or how you want to serve it. Now, if you notice, I don't have one of those handy dandy little clip things that hold up your plastic bag. I am a firm believer in use what you have on hand and make do with what you have. So I have used this 1 gallon pitcher for some time now. Okay, my plastic bag does not fit over the whole opening of the pitcher, and that's okay, because I just bend the side over a little bit. I take one of these clips and clip it to one side, and then somewhere over here, probably over here near the handle, I'm just going to clip it again, just to kind of give me a bigger opening. Okay, so we're going to do chicken first. And so here are 4 breasts. I'm going to put directly in this bag. I also like to kind of cut them when they're still just maybe 1/4 frozen. That was a lucky catch. All right, now we're going to use a 1/2 cup of chopped onion. And then you're going to take 1 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I'm only going to put in half of this can, and I did drain it for the most part. There's still going to be some liquid in there, but I'm only going to use half a can. Just kind of eyeball it. Yep. And we're going to use 1 jar of black beans. I did drain them and rinse them. As you can see, these were some of mine that I had canned up. Okay. And we're going to use half a jar of salsa. Again, just eyeball it. And I'm going to use a can of corn. I drained this as well. And it doesn't matter if you use canned corn or frozen corn, just as long as it's at least 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup. Right. So now I'm just going to take my clips off. Pull this out of here. Get most of the air out. Okay. And also the great thing about this, I put this in the crock pot. Or also, you could stick this in a pot on the stove or in the oven, however you want to do it. But I like mine in the crock pot, and it makes it so easy to just dump and go. So now, when you come home and it's ready, you can take this and you can put it into tortillas and top that with sour cream and cheese, or you could make like a bowl and have it on top of lettuce and put cheese and sour cream, jalapenos, you know, whatever you want. The sky's the limit, but this is delicious. My kids loved this when they were younger, and it's super simple and very affordable. So I'm gonna just write on here, Mexican chicken. I'm just gonna say 4 to 6 hours low. And CP for crockpot. And today's date. Even though it won't last very long in there, we'll use it for when we have company. And I believe these can stay in the freezer up to about a month. I think that's how long I've kept them. Now you can lay them flat if you want and freeze them that way. I don't do it, and I used to do it, and I don't recommend it, because then when you're taking it out, you really have to defrost it like the night before, just so that it can move about and you can dump it in your crock pot. You can't get it out of this bag when it's the same size as the bag. I am horrible about taking things out of the freezer the night before. So I just leave mine like this. Then that way I can open the bag and then I can dump it out. I can still dump it out even if it's a frozen block. So there's our Mexican chicken. Okay, now I did write on the bag first this time, and it would be the same thing except you're working with beef. The date and 4 to 6 hours low. CP for crock pot. You can put this in an Instant Pot. Don't ask me what the times are because I don't know. I don't have an Instant Pot, so I use my crock pot. And for this beef, I used 4 top sirloin steaks, but I used the really thin ones and just slice them up into bite-sized pieces. Just shake that down. That's a good bit of beef in there. It actually cut up to a little bit more than the chicken. Put in half a can of drained diced tomatoes. Half a jar of salsa. Half a cup of onions. And you can also kind of mix and match a little bit. Like let's say you didn't want black beans, you wanted pinto beans, brown beans, you can throw those in there instead. And it comes out to 1 cup of corn, 1 can of corn, 1 cup of corn, some frozen corn, whatever you have on hand. This was some frozen corn I had, and it's 1 cup. And we really like the black beans in ours, so I'm just going to go ahead and add another jar, and it's been rinsed and drained, or drained and rinsed, of black beans. And that is it. And this is great for if you have kids that are in activities. If you have activities you need to go to, I know that, you know, I have a club meeting I go to, and I like to make sure Dean has something to eat before I go or while I'm away. It's also great when you have company, because then you're not in the kitchen when your company is here. You're getting to visit with them, which I really like. So that is our beef, and it looks really good. You can also add rice. That's what I do. Typically I make this into like a burrito bowl. I'm gonna sit here and think for a minute. And yes, I put rice, lettuce, then a couple scoops of this mixture, sour cream, cheese, and guacamole. Move over Chipotle. See, it's so much better to eat at home. But we have realized that it's usually much tastier and much healthier to eat at home. And it doesn't have to be drudgery, because you can always make this ahead of time. All right, I'm not playing with it. And there's your beef. Okay, now we're going to do a beef teriyaki and a chicken teriyaki freezer meal. I have gone ahead and written, couldn't see that because of my towel, written on the bag, on the Ziploc baggie, these are 1 gallon Ziploc bags, the date that I'm making it, the name of it, and the time on the crockpot, in the crockpot. Both of these I'm putting 4 to 6 hours on low. You could put it, decipher that for your Instant Pot if you have one. And I think even these could be warmed up on the stove as well if you chose to do it that way. Regardless, it's a healthy, quick, easy meal. If you hear any background noise, I apologize. My husband is on the tractor. So, first things first, we are going to take 2 pounds of beef. I used boneless top sirloin. You can use stew meat, the fajita meat, whatever you like. And I just chopped it up into bite-sized pieces, kind of like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in here. Now you're going to add to the bag 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Of course, you can also use arrowroot powder if that's what you like to use. I just happen to have cornstarch on hand. So add 2 tablespoons into our bag. And this is going to help when it makes that gravy in the crock pot. It's going to just help thicken everything up and kind of stick to your beef. Now we are going to take 1/2 cup. I'm using liquid amino. This is a substitute for soy sauce. So it's your choice whichever you use. I just don't like to have all the sodium that is in soy sauce. There's still some in this, it's just not like the other. So there's 1/2 cup. And a teaspoon of ginger. I dropped something, but I didn't. 1 teaspoon of ginger. 1 tablespoon of garlic. I'm using garlic granules, and I'm using quite a liberal tablespoon because we really like garlic. You could use, chopped garlic clove if that's what you have, or whatever you have on hand. Remember, it's always best to use what you have on hand first and make the most of everything you have. That's not liberal enough, Sarah. All right, 1 tablespoon of garlic. 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. And a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I make my brown sugar, so I'm just going to put in half of this because I went ahead and made it ahead for the chicken as well. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it for half. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm using 1 16-ounce package of broccoli. These are petite broccoli florets. You don't want the kind with the stalks on them. You don't want the broccoli spears, or if you have to, chop it off. You basically just want the florets. And if you have fresh, you can chop them up, or I'm using frozen because I don't have any fresh yet. you know, using what's available to you. So I'm going to use the whole bag in here. Now, I'm going to serve this over rice. I guess you could make another side with it. I think the broccoli with the beef and then the rice is enough for us. This is 2 pounds of beef in here, and I find that, you know, can adequately feed 4. You know, if you have some bigger eaters, you might, you know, just want to make adjustments for that. Okay. Beef teriyaki is now complete. And now we'll just do it again using chicken. I can't wait until Dean gets my island set up in here. It's finished. It's just going to give me a lot more room. I cannot wait. And if you're heating it on the stove, you know, just until it's done. I mean, of course, naturally until it's done. But, you know, just still has that bubbly, you know, the meat is thoroughly cooked. You're able to gauge that. All right. So we're going to put in 2 pounds of chicken. I just used the thin sliced chicken breast, the boneless, skinless. You can use whatever chicken you like. And the 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm getting low, I didn't realize. I am spilling it, I knew I was. 1, 2. I need to get some more. I ran out of something earlier today too, and I'm not doing that great with my pantry inventory. That used to never happen. I don't like that to happen. I just need to start. I want to mop the floor afterward. I just need to start doing a better pantry inventory before I place my orders. That's another topic. All right, back to what we're doing here. So another 1/2 cup of liquid aminos or soy sauce. The exact same thing, you're just changing your meat. And if you don't like broccoli, you could always use peas or sugar snap peas, the baby corns that you a lot of times will see in Asian cooking. Completely up to you, but we do like the broccoli. A teaspoon of ginger, hiding. A liberal tablespoon of garlic for us. A 1/4 teaspoon crushed red pepper. It's tight on there. Be careful not to get this anywhere near your face. I made that mistake one time, the first time I started cooking with crushed red pepper, and I don't know what happened, but I got it up near my face and it got some dust got in my eyes. It was horrible, horrible experience. A 1/4 cup of brown sugar, So let's use that other cup in here. Get every bit of it off my fork. And 1 package of broccoli. Friends, it is really this simple. It really is. And then when you're ready to, put dinner on, the afternoon or something like that, morning, whenever you want to do it with a crock pot or instant pot, you just drop this in there. Turn it on your crock pot, turn it on low. And when it's finished, right a few minutes before it's finished, I'll go ahead and start my rice and trying to get all the air out. And then just serve this over top of rice. It makes for a quick, delicious, and easy meal. And these are going to come in super handy, not only from when you have company, like we're getting ready to have, and it's also going to come in super handy when the weather just keeps getting nicer and we're out in the garden and doing projects on the homestead outside, that in the morning I can just drop this in the crock pot and not have to worry about coming in when you're hot and exhausted to cook dinner. Okay, there's chicken teriyaki. Oh, nice. Okay, so next we're going to do Swedish meatballs. For Swedish meatballs, you can use a full package of the frozen meatballs. I already have my bag done up because I made meatballs yesterday and had them in the refrigerator for this project, and I have 3 dozen in here. So that's usually what I recommend for 4 is 3 dozen meatballs. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this bag and put it down into the pitcher. Hold it open. All right, this is a really, really simple one. Okay, so once you have your meatballs placed in your bag is clipped, you're going to add 2 cups of broth. I'm using beef broth, and I have made my own. I have a whole bunch canned. So this is a quart jar, so I'm just going to eyeball it and use half of this. And you can use whatever type of broth you like. The thing is that it'll give it some flavor, whether it's chicken broth or vegetable broth, whatever you have on hand. And it also calls for 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. I don't have cream of mushroom soups on hand, condensed soups. So I have this dry soup mix that I get from Azure, and I know that I have exactly a ½ cup in here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and dump it in there. Also, if on a previous video where we made spice blend, I made an onion mushroom soup mix, and you could actually use that and a ½ cup and throw in there too. And now we're going to use 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. That doesn't sound like much to me, but I'll just make it liberal. and a half teaspoon of paprika. Now measure this one out. I don't put paprika in there liberally. And 1 package of mushrooms. Whether you have canned mushrooms, fresh mushrooms, frozen mushrooms, however you want to use them. I had fresh mushrooms, so I've sliced them up, and I'm just going to drop them in here in the bag. And I have quite a few chopped up. I may not need all of these. I had chopped up 8 mushrooms, and I think it's going to be a little bit much. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to pull this up and see how full it is of mushrooms. Oh, that's not bad. I'm going to add the rest. Okay. Okay, now over top of this, I'm going to use a 1/4 cup Worcestershire sauce. And I knew this one was almost empty, and I think that did it. Yep. All right, this one, when you put it in the crock pot or in a pot on the stove, however you do it, right as it's finishing, right as it's, almost done, you're going to want to take a cup of sour cream and then just blend it in there. Just pour it directly into the pot and just keep stirring till it's thoroughly blended, and it's going to make a really great gravy. And I'm going to serve this over egg noodles. I forgot the onion. 1 small onion. I thought I forgot something. And I have 1 small onion right here. I'm going to just dump the whole thing in there. Frozen onions, fresh onions. If you don't have that, minced onions. All right, now try this again. Probably didn't even take us 5 minutes to put together. All right, and it's true. The biggest part of your time is going to be chopping the meat, sometimes the vegetables, but really we didn't because we used on the other meals, we used black beans and corn, we used frozen broccoli, but chopping the meat, I chopped mushrooms, and I previously had chopped onions. What I do, and it saves time always, is for onions, if I'm dicing up an onion for a recipe, whatever I'm going to make, I go ahead and do another full onion, and then I put it on a plate, a paper plate, and I flash freeze it in the freezer. And then once that is frozen, I take a Ziploc bag, drop it in there. Of course, it's just marked diced onions. And I do that every single time, and it really adds up. I did have half a bag of diced onions so that you don't have to constantly be chopping an onion every time you need some. And I do the same with mushrooms. I'll slice them up, I'll put them on a paper plate into the freezer, and I put them in a Ziploc bag when they're finished. I flash freeze them because I don't want them sticking together. If you just dropped onions down in here they're going to clump up, and it's going to be really hard to get that clump apart. So when you flash freeze them, you drop them down in here, but you just kind of massage it back for a second, and it's, you know, you can grab a handful. And so there are Swedish meatballs. And we've also made the chicken teriyaki and the beef teriyaki and Swedish meatballs. That's right many meals right there. So this is really easy, really simple, and it's actually kind of fun. So I hope you try it out, let me know, and thanks for joining me.